Niaje wase. It's now 840 days since President Ruto ascended to power. And as the year closes, let's unpack why Kenyans have nicknamed him the Flying Man, Mr. Next Week, Nabi, and the famous Kasongo. Enyewe Kenya, Missy Hami. Here's a story month by month. In January, an explained abduction of two journalists and a student kicked off the year. Meanwhile, economic protests erupted in Nakuru na Kisumu over the rising cost of living. But Mr. Next Week assured us that everything would be fine next week. In February, Moi University shut down indefinitely following a lecturer's strike. Then Kasongo reshuffled his cabinet for the first time, promising Nini fresh energy. Meanwhile, clinical officers and nurses joined the strike parade. Come March, President Ruto confirmed the deployment of 1,000 Kenyan police officers to Haiti, because clearly, helping Haiti is more urgent than fixing Kenya. Teachers, on the other hand, downed their tools, and the Flying Man was nowhere to be found. April, JSS teachers protested over unpaid salaries. The SHA program was officially launched, but turned out to be a hot mess. Nabii akatuambia tuiombe, itakuwa tu sawa. May, education hits rock bottom as lecturers and TSC teachers stage joint protests. Meanwhile, students and stakeholders rally against the new university funding model. But don't worry, the Flying Man was off to the US, cruising in the Hustler jet, courtesy of friends who generously spent over 200 million Kenya shillings on leasing it. June, nationwide protests against the Finance Bill 2024 erupted, where unarmed protesters were labeled terrorists and snipers were deployed. The backlash forced Kasongo to reshuffle his cabinet yet again. July, President Ruto apologizes to the nation for police brutality during the protests. But then, he unveiled the so-called broad-based government, which Kenyans quickly dubbed the Doomsday Alliance. In working with the opposition, Nabii reminded us to forgive and forget, but Kenyans were not buying it. August, the clergy openly criticizes the government, accusing it of corruption and abandoning its people. Meanwhile, a suspected serial killer linked to the Kware murders escapes police custody. Kasongo promised swift justice. We are still waiting. September, President Ruto's love affair with the Adani group faced opposition from coastal communities. Meanwhile, Germany contradicted the Flying Man's claims about 250,000 job opportunities for Kenyans. October, the controversial Adani power deal was signed. Deputy President Gachagua impeached, and foreign nationals mysteriously disappeared, forcing the clergy to issue a warning to the government: reform or face mass mobilization. Nabii dismissed all this with a prayer. November, Kenya cancelled more than $2.5 billion in Adani deals, reportedly under US pressure. Meanwhile, Kasongo unveiled Deputy President Abraham Kindiki as healthcare workers went on strike over unpaid salaries and the SHA program continued to crumble. And finally, December, a third cabinet reshuffle was conducted. And guess what? Those rejected tax proposals in the Finance Bill 2024 sneaked back in through the Tax Laws and Procedures Act. Mr. Next Week assured us that the taxes will fix things come next year. So, from the Flying Man to Kasongo, do you think President Ruto lived up to every nickname Kenyans have given him? Share your thoughts in the comment section.